So, spawning down in the bottom right position, we have got the red Zerg player from Team Quantic. It's Hyun. And his opponent spawning up in the top left from Lowland Lions. It is the pink Zerg, Jona.
Alright, so I don't think we've had a ZVZ in quite a while. So this is going to be pretty entertaining. And of course, in a mirror matchup, upsets are a little bit more possible than normal as well. Hyun definitely significantly more known than Jona, but the Lions are a very, very solid team as well, it has to be said. We'll see if it's possible for him to overcome his Korean opponent. Hyun, I think we mentioned it a little bit earlier in the day, Maddles. He tends to have sort of periods where he's absolute tip-top Codes material, and then other periods where he's just not quite as on the ball. But so far this tournament, he's not really relenting much.
No, he isn't, and that's something which is always good to see. Okay, Hyun, as you said, he has moments of being absolutely spectacular. If he can do a performance like that, and it's been highly discussed, I think, as well, across all the build-up to DreamHack, lots of people have been looking potential winners, of course. You've got people such as StarTale's Life, where you can go, okay, maybe they're a real favourite to go. But Hyun, I honestly think that Hyun, if he plays up to his best form, has a shot at least of top 3.
I see absolutely no reason why not. I mean, Hyun is just such a powerhouse in the StarCraft community. Very, very good Zerg player as well. Very aggressive with his builds and with his execution. And that sort of player isn't only just really good, but it's really dangerous. Even if he's playing against a player that people would say is better than him, it doesn't actually matter. He could go and pull something out of the hat and absolutely destroy them. He's done it time and time again. He's one of those players that you almost have to forget it's Hyun and say, well, look, regardless of who shows up, whether it's good Hyun or not so good Hyun, I need to be on my toes here. Otherwise, I just risk a superbly quick defeat.
I think I find quite interesting, actually, the psychology around the community and Hyun. Because what other person who has come second, very, very narrowly second, it was a 3-4 match in a GSL Code S final.
Oh my god, I was
still has to prove themselves, though?
I was sat in, like, the 5th row, sort of with all the other casters at IPL 5, and I lost $10 on that match, because I was like, Hyun's got this.
Yep.
And I got proved wrong that day. I think a lot of people did as well. But we won't go into my esports betting habits, mainly because they tend to be losing ones when I go to live events. And funnily enough, the casters often lose a lot of money, or a lot of Korean barbecue, but that's another story. At live esports events. Online, my predictions have been pretty darn good, but for some reason, at events, caster curse really does strike with me.
It is true. Now, we should probably talk a little bit about what's been going on in this game. And
absolutely.
In all honesty, not too much. As you said earlier, no matter what openings that have gone down, things tend to be fairly equal at this stage. They've both got their naturals down, they've both got their spawning pools, and they've both got some gases. Actually, Jona is only just getting the gases now. So, Hyun, he's just slightly ahead in zerging speed. Also still mining gas. That's a really important thing to note, because while the gas is still coming down for Hyun, he's got the option of transitioning to banelings, for example, which is always going to be something that can be really quite potent, and you've got to keep an eye out for that, for banelings, for roaches, anything kind of tech-wise. But Jona, staying relatively equal in supply, just happily droning up, getting a couple of zerglings. Nothing game-breaking, game-ending, or game predictable for the time being.
The thing I really wanted to point out at the moment is that I found it interesting how Jona took the gases at his natural expansion as opposed to inside his main base, and I believe that's because he's expecting Hyun to send an Overlord up here to try and scout the gas time, and he just wants to make it a little more difficult. Yes, taking these gases means it's easy for an Overlord on this side to scout the gas timings, but it's...
Which there is one.
Yep, there is one over there. I mean, he's right over here waiting to pop over. But I think it just makes it slightly more awkward for Hyun to potentially guess what's happening with the gas here. And there we go. We have got the Evolution Base and the Roach Warren blocking these Zerglings off, so Hyun unable to get any additional scouting off at this time. Both players with the Roach Warrens and layers, so a relatively quiet early game here.
It is. I actually really like this wall off. I think it's potentially one of the best things that you can do early game as a Zerg. However, what Hyun's doing in response to this is taking a really fast third. And the reason that's smart is because if you know your opponent's turtling up, which wall off at your natural is all about, then you know that they're not going to be putting on any pain for a while, and you can sneak out that economic edge by getting the additional base. Really nice play. Upgrades coming down on both sides, although Hyun getting the 1-1 upgrades slightly sooner than we're seeing the 1-1 double upgrades coming down from Jona, who unfortunately does get momentarily supply blocked.
That's right, a little bit of an Overlord supply block there, flying just a bit too close to the wind, as we have Roach Warren starting Glial Reconstitution with those upgrades coming out from Hyun. Jona's going to be relatively okay against this on the grounds that his upgrades actually started a little bit sooner, but he is only now just getting his third hatchery. So this is really the difference between the players at this point, but they're otherwise gearing towards very, very similar strategies here. The worker count is in Hyun's favor, 61 to 50, and that can be largely attributed to the fact that the third base is already up and mining. But aside from that, Jona's supply is actually up at the moment. He can potentially have more map control if he wanted to, simply because his army supply is larger, but he's really just sort of pooling up at home.
Now, the one thing which is a bit of a problem for Jona is he's only got +1 missile attack coming down, whereas Hyun did go for the 1-1 upgrades, which, unless he pushes out in that very small timing window where he does have the upgrade advantage, Hyun will then, with 1-1 upgrades, be ahead.
That's a great spot, actually. I wonder if he forgot, or if he clicked it just before he had enough minerals and he thinks it's being researched, because for a reasonable amount of time, yes, he keeps spending his money, but he has had enough to get that +1 armor as well, and he got 2 evolution chambers for a reason. So that could play a big role if we see a massive roach on roach engagement later. Hyun with the +1 armor as well.
Yeah, and as we see, these roaches are moving across the map now. Hyun does have a handful of Zerglings going in towards the third. Nothing there to defend it. At the same time, though, the roaches are getting such a nice little hug up here. The upgrade advantage there momentarily for Jona, but Hyun now getting his 1-1 done. He had such a good surface area on those roaches, such better attack arc, and he is just pushing back Jona, who's just getting forced to retreat.
Yeah, this is looking rather difficult for Jona at this point. He is making nothing at the moment other than Roach. He's getting +2 attack as well, but once again, no armor upgrades from that evolution chamber. So aside from playing a part in making that wall earlier, really hasn't played an additional role in this game. And Hyun, needs to be careful, needs to make sure he plugs that gap in case there's a run by. And we have Jona coming in from both angles here. Is it going to be enough to push Hyun back? He's trying to sandwich him in and doing a good job of it so far, but Hyun still has the numbers on his side. 130 supply to 110 and continuing to drop. The reinforcements from Jona are going to be able to arrive faster than Hyun, but Hyun coming in with some lings as well. This is a very close fight, but it looks like Hyun is about to edge it.
Yeah, he's got the 1-1 upgrades up against 1-0. That upgrade advantage really has won Hyun this fight. Even though there was such a good angle for Jona, the reinforcements plus additional upgrades is going to be really helpful. And Hyun wants no more roaches. Is just going to snipe down that roach run if at all possible, but he's got to be careful not to get too many roaches lost in doing so. Reinforcements are coming in for Jona, and should just be able to push back Hyun for the moment.
That Roach Warren, it's spewing stuff like it's the 4th of July, ladies and gentlemen. It's 56 hit points at the moment, and just about hanging on for dear life, but Hyun now has a commanding lead. He's up to 149 supply versus 96 at the moment. He's also still up in the work supply, 60 to 50, and he's coming in potentially for the kill here. A lot of roaches, and I don't think Jona can survive this. The upgrade advantage was too great. Hyun putting on relentless pressure as soon as he knew he had a small upgrade, and it looks like it's snowballed, Battles.
Yeah, it has snowballed. There is the GG. Well played. Game 1 goes to quantic.